The Big Ten had a big day in recruiting yesterday, and it wasn't just Michigan adding a 5-star prospect into the mix, but Ohio State adding in another blue-chip recruit to their already stacked class for 2022, and we need to talk about it. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from y'all. And as it currently sits, Ohio State not only has the #1 class in the nation, but also the #1 class in the Big Ten. And though I certainly think that other teams will challenge them for the #1 class in the nation, I don't think that they're going to be challenged for the #1 class in the Big Ten. But with that being said, the Big Ten right now currently stands as Ohio State 1, Penn State 2, and Michigan 3. So do you think that Michigan will be able to pass Penn State for the second best class in the Big Ten? Let me know down in the bottom with a Y for yes or an N for no, and let me know what you're thinking on that. Guys, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification. That way you don't miss any of my content. I do constant college football uploads, player reviews, film analysis, talk-style videos like this, and I'm on my push to 5,000 subscribers in my first year of having a channel, but I can't do that alone, and I'd love to have you along for the journey. And if you did enjoy the video, be sure to like and comment down below because that stuff really does go a long ways in helping content creators like myself get picked up by the YouTube algorithm. But with all that being said, let's kick it off with Michigan, adding in a 5-star prospect. Will Johnson, son of former Michigan player Deion Johnson of House Wolverine, adds into the mix for Jim Harbaugh. And in all seriousness, this is a great acquisition by the Michigan staff. And I understand there are going to be some people out there that say this is not really a big deal for Michigan because they were always going to land him. He was a legacy. And to that, I offer the multitude of times legacies have not gone to the institution to which their fathers or mothers or whoever was the athlete went. Will Johnson, it was always probable that he was going to go to Michigan. Michigan always looked to be the front runner, but you still have to go out there and close. And the reason why I do believe it is a big deal for Michigan to be able to land Will Johnson, aside from having a 5-star corner now in the mix, you can never argue with that, especially a guy like Will Johnson, who stands 6'3", is a great size, and could really play any position in the defensive backfield, whether you want to put him at corner or safety. He's got the speed, he's got the range, he's got the physicality for it. I mean, an intriguing prospect, and no doubt. But also the reason why I like this acquisition so much is because of who the primary recruiter was, and that's Maurice Linguist. Now, for those of you that frequent the channel, you remember we just talked about Maurice Linguist the other day when talking about Bryce Anderson and his top 5. And there were 2 surprise teams on that list. USC, which really isn't that much of a surprise to me because we've been talking about how hot on the trail USC has been in recruiting. My goodness, they are picking up so much steam. But the other one was Michigan, and the lead recruiter for Bryce Anderson for Michigan is Maurice Linguist. And this is a really big deal because now he can go and tell Anderson, I just locked up a 5-star prospect at the cornerback position. Why don't you come and join him and really have a special class and give us a chance to challenge the Big Ten and challenge Ohio State? Now, I think that Michigan is a ways away from being able to comfortably challenge Ohio State. I think that they're a very talented team, but Ohio State right now is operating on an elite level, both in talent and draft capital and in recruiting, and Michigan still has a ways to go before they get there, though I do believe they are a program that could get there because of the history they have. They are a blue blood program like your Texases, Oklahomas. They're just kind of on a down period, and I say down period, they're never really a bad team. They just haven't been able to win the games that Harbaugh was supposed to win for them, so in that regard, it has been disappointing, but Will Johnson is a guy that will help you get over that edge, but he can't do it alone. This recruiting class has to continue pushing, and they have to be able to try and at least sew up that #2 spot in the Big Ten, because you're not going to be able to beat Ohio State consistently if you're not able to recruit on par with them. And so Bryce Anderson becomes a very big guy for the Michigan Wolverines and someone to look out for. Now, this commitment of Will Johnson did find Michigan inside the top 10 for a brief period of time before Sam McCall committed to Florida State, bouncing Michigan from 10th best recruiting class in the nation to 11th. And even though Michigan is bounced out of the top 10, you still have the momentum to work with, and you still need to be able to capitalize off of that momentum, because when you add in 5-star prospect Will Johnson, you look across the aisle, and the #1 class in the Big Ten, the #1 class in the nation, my goodness, Ohio State adds in 4-star wide receiver Kyion Grayes, who is a blue chip prospect through and through. 6'1", 170 pounds, out of Arizona. He is Ohio State's 11th commit in a class that is just absolutely lapping the field right now, which is exactly what we saw out of Ohio State last year. Last year, we see Ohio State jump out to an uber fast process in recruiting, and look, they're still not even out of the running for a JT Tuimoloau, who could absolutely come into the class that Ohio State just had. And so this Ohio State Buckeyes surge that we see under Ryan Day isn't relegated to 1 year as we're seeing currently. This surge is here to stay, and Ohio State is very much well about their business right now, and I got nothing but respect for it. And even though I think that ultimately they will be challenged for the #1 recruiting class in the nation again, by whether it's my Alabama Crimson Tide, the Texas Longhorns, OU, there are a lot of teams right now that look to be in very good position as far as recruiting is concerned. You have to be happy with where Ohio State is right now. And even though Ohio State didn't finish with the #1 class last year, you have to be happy with the class they finished with. My goodness, any other year that's a #1 class, if not for Nick Saban and Bama doing something incredibly special with their recruiting class. But that doesn't take away from what Ohio State did in last year's recruiting cycle. That was an incredible class Ohio State signed, and they will be showing it on the football field. Very talented group, and Ohio State surging ahead once again in this class. And I'm not surprised that it's a wide receiver. When you have the #1 recruit in the nation who, oh yeah, is also a quarterback who 24/7 Sports rates at a 1.0 on their scale that usually goes from 0.000 to 1, they have him as a perfect prospect. And whether that will continue to be the case remains to be seen, but you have to understand the excitement that receivers are having about the possibility of playing with a Quinn Ewers, especially when they already land a top-level receiver in Caleb Burton. Ohio State just adding into that incredible receiving core they already have right there, and just a great day for the Big Ten overall in recruiting. But I can't wait to hear from y'all. Do you think that Michigan is able to pass Penn State for that #2 class in the Big Ten? And what do you think about the newest signing for the Ohio State Buckeyes? That's it. See ya.